Okay, well, hey, Major Dad coming to you from the Great White North with media luffberry. Luffberry is a term we used to use when flying back several decades ago, flying supersonic airplanes. When you had a whole bunch of them in a very small portion of space, let's say, it's kind of a mothball of supersonic airplanes going like this in the air. They would call that a luffberry, and whenever you could, it's often wise to avoid those or take a quick killing shot and leave. Anyways, today I was going to talk about some things that I think is important to fathers and parents in general, especially if you're homeschooling. And some of the research I've done supports my decision to homeschool my daughter. And I've also had I've had three older children from another marriage go through public school. And one of them got to go through public school, they went to a private school, and then they went to public school again. And if I asked them what they would prefer to study, to actually learn the most, he said, without a question, homeschooling. So, the end of a dinner, glass of wine, yes. Anyways, class size. This may shock and amaze some people, but class size, some people say, well, 28, 32, no more than 35. Research and all the numbers that I will talk about come from research. 5 kids. Optimal class size. 5 children. And we have kids in classes of 28 and 30 and 32 and 35. Where's the learning? Another thing I looked at today, or I thought about today, is putting on my glasses and reading the list. Student-to-teacher ratio. Here's a good one. Well, I just told you, 1 to 5. Class size of 5, student-to-teacher ratio 3 is what it is. And the Socratic method of teaching, meaning when the kids come to ask you a question, you simply reformulate the question or guide them to ask a better question. No answers are given. You cannot answer their question. That's just prohibited. And it makes you a better parent and educator because you have to formulate the question to help them. So think about that. Oh boy, sorry about that. Yeah, who's not tired with kids, right? Shit, if you're not tired, you don't have kids. Like I said, 5-year-old and 6-year-old. A new acronym I thought of that I think's key, extremely important for homeschoolers is the CIC model, to where you nurture these traits: curiosity, imagination, and creativity. So creativity, imagination, and curiosity, and keep those things fanned. Keep the fire fanned on those, and learning will take place. The other thing I wanted to talk about, not to keep this too late, but anyways, is a video, a TED Talk. It's called Hole in the Wall. And it's very instrumental in destroying one of my campaigns is just absolutely obliterate the 300-year-old teaching model that is in place right now in our public school systems. I mean, let's take a look at this. This model was designed 300 years ago to make factory workers. Okay, that's what it was designed for. Think of one other thing that you do today that people do 300 years ago, and the only thing I could think of is bodily functions. That's it. Life is not the same. When I was going through school, growing up in the 60s and 70s and 80s, and going to public school, we had to know, to be, to do, and that's an interesting model. So you had to remember a tremendous amount of data and information. That model was destroyed when this thing became part of our daily lives. It is no longer important that I know a lot of things. Yes, I need to know some basic things, and I prefer to know some very specific things. But you could ask anyone on the planet with a smartphone any question imaginable, and they could have an answer for you in a matter of seconds. Of course, it has nothing to do with feelings. Hey, how do you feel? You can't ask the internet, or maybe one day you can. That would be funny. Anyways, that's the point. So, back to the hole in the wall. An Indian computer engineer in Delhi decided to conduct an experiment. And the local children, of course, India has a caste system. And I don't know if these are untouchables or not. Probably not untouchables, but definitely down in the caste system. This guy is a businessman, computer engineer. So there's a huge difference if you're looking at the caste system. Of course, he was not. Anyways, in downtown Delhi, he acquired a small wall or something, or used somebody's building, and was able to put a computer screen, a keyboard, and the computer everything was inside the building. Okay, so basically you walk by, there's a wall, there's a computer screen, there's a mouse pad, and a keyboard, and internet access. Okay, so there's internet access. And every day he would go by, and sometimes he would give them a tip or a hint on using the computer or using the internet. And at the end of like 9 months, he said most of the children, one, who did not speak English, now spoke fluent English, and two, were able to conduct any type of skill that a Western secretary could do in an office setting, which is quite remarkable since we're talking about 9 and 10, 11-year-old children. Then he thought he biased the test, and he went into the mountains, probably Kashmir, or I don't know exactly, but there's a lot of mountains around India, the Himalayas. And he went to a remote village, and he set up the exact same thing. Screen, computer, keyboard, mouse, camera, and Wi-Fi or satellite, whatever it was. He provided connectivity to the internet. And he left the children, who did not speak English either, a question. And it had to do with genetics, and it had to do with actual genome technical stuff, which is kind of interesting because my wife just read a book called CRISPR. I'll be reading that, and I'll talk about that. But anyways, back to India. He comes back in 9 months, and one of the first things that is expressed to him by one of the young girls in the village, who did not speak English initially, but does now, "Mister, your computer needs a faster processor." And to which he was, quite taken aback. And after talking with them, he asked about the question, and they provided him with an answer. So, one, they taught themselves how to use the computer. Two, they taught themselves how to access the internet and search, and a myriad of other things. Three, they taught themselves everything they needed to know. Is the bottom line. They taught themselves everything, language, everything. Once they get to this thing, there's no stopping the human mind. That's just the way it is. So think about that. AI is in your future, I'm sure. Maybe in mine. And then one last topic. You guys has good conversations. Is startup. Oh, Major Dad's tip of the evening. Parenting tip of the evening. As parents, you should learn to eat standing up. Okay, it's required in the skill set. So I'm going to do something here, which may or may not work. Because here's the beginning. And I know they, no, I don't make money here, not yet, but anyways, the ending's cool. I like the music, so yeah, no royalties for me.